heck do steel adhesive wheel weights and silicone earplugs have to do with circular knitting machines? Well, I have 13 different tools that are really going to help you be more efficient and have more fun using your circular knitting machine. It gives me the opportunity to have more fun using my knitting machine. I can focus more on designing and patterns, and it's going to save you time. It's going to save you the pain of tucked and drop stitches. And stay till tip number 13, because that is my favorite tool that I use to make me way more efficient and fast using the circular knitting machine. The first one I want to talk about, the Centro and the Knit Quick Michaels Loops and Threads machines do not have a row counter. You don't see one on there, do you? And what I've done, my Addi does have one, and that's nice. What I've done is I have purchased this digital row counter with its little magnetic counter piece attached to it. And what this does is counts the rows for you by simply attaching it here to the side of my machine. This is the Centro 40 pin, which does not come with a counter on it. You simply use your power button here to turn it on, reset it by pushing there for a couple seconds, and it's reset. Now, how does this read it and how does it know? See this little magnet right here? You just kind of go back and forth, and you can see how it counts every time you go. So the idea is you go around all the way with your knitting machine, and when you pass your magnet, it's going to count your next row. So the other tools you're going to need, if you have more than one machine like I do, you're not going to want to buy 4 or 2 or even 3 of these counters. You just need one. The battery lasts forever. Simple, takes one little battery right here on the back. These wires, don't even worry about it. Super easy to connect. You just need to buy one of these. And all you're going to need to get is extra magnets. You can see here how they look. They're very small, they're efficient, and they work right here on your machine. So get yourself extra magnets. You're going to use hot glue to attach it to your pin. I attach it to number 1, which is right after the black pin. And you're going to need some command strips. These are called damage-free hanging command strips. They're not Velcro. They're better than Velcro. They don't have that fuzziness Velcro has that runs out eventually. It's this type of material you can see here, and it just attaches right like that. There's no right side or wrong side like Velcro has. It just attaches to itself. And the same right here. So I put one piece on here, this metal part, that is the magnet reader right there. And then one on the digital counter itself and onto the machine where you want it. Now on my Knit Quick machine, I actually put it on this side of the tensioner. So I thought it would be different and a little easier, and I found it actually is. But if you keep it on this side, it's easier to read when you're cranking around. You can see it better on this side. Sometimes I'll just even take it off so I can read it as I go along. So those are the 3 different tools. 1, 2, and your magnets. 3. This is the next one, number 4, silicone putty earplugs. These are going to help you get your yarn that can be a little fussy get through your knitting machines better. I'm going to show you how. Here's the putty. Go ahead and open up your box. You have it in hand, and what you'll find is it comes in this plastic piece here. What you want to do is make sure that your hands are free of any debris, and that where you want to put it is going to be right here. The idea is that this putty is actually quite pliable. It is putty made of silicone, and it's a little bit, it's not sticky to your fingers, but it will catch yarn and little threads like that onto it. So you put it here and shape it so that your yarn can come through it more easily. I went ahead and cleaned the spot really well and washed my hands, and here's the putty. See, it comes with this plastic on top of it. So just peel back to get your piece out. Just grab one. Put that away for your other machines or for later, because sometimes these will need replacing. And I'm going to smack dab right in the middle. That's where it's going to go. Right in the middle of where the yarn would go through the yarn holder. So squish it onto there so it sticks, and you can see how it's pliable in my fingers and it's sticking to it. That's all you do. And then what you'll do is grab a loom pick or a crochet hook if you have one, and you're simply going to just press an indent where you want your yarn to go through. And the idea is the yarn is going to go through your holder here, up across your silicone earwax putty, and then down through your tensioner. That's how the yarn's going to feed, and I'll show you how it works. So I have my yarn here, and go ahead and cast on. From here, I'll show you what we do. It's going to go through your yarn tensioner as it normally would. And you can see how it is right in the center of your silicone ear putty. The idea is that as you knit, it's going to go through centerpiece right here the whole time when you knit. And what it will do is help keep the yarn less fuzzy so that you're able to knit with yarn that's otherwise almost impossible to use on these centros or these other types of knitting machines. It helps your yarn glide way smoother onto the machine when it normally would not. You can see what I'm talking about. It'll be a little hard for me to knit like this, but I will turn the yarn wider. You can see how the yarn is going right through the center of that silicone ear putty. It's going to stop a lot of your tucked and dropped stitches. Now, I personally enjoy having the 8-pack because, one, I have 5 different circular knitting machines, but also because I know that eventually these do get a little bit dirty and at some point you'll have to replace them. It's really essential and it helps glide your yarn real smoothly onto these machines, because sometimes the biggest issues with these machines is that you cannot get the majority of worsted weight yarn through them, and that's so frustrating for me because I have a lot of worsted weight yarn and it does not work with this machine very well until I started using these Pillow Soft silicone putty earplugs. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is the Circular Knitting Machine Journal. Now, this thing is so helpful. 126 pages. The Circular Knitting Machine Journal is a really helpful tool for you to design your patterns, for you to keep track of different projects that you're working on. It's even got a beanie row count guide for you, so you know how many to make for whether it's an adult, youth, baby, or toddler. It's got these handy little guides that you can start designing your own beanies. Beanies using the tube style beanie. It's got several pages of that. Then you get towards the back, and like you can see my design here, you got a handwritten row or row counter for yourself, and then also just where you can start designing your own patterns on the next page. This little turtle I'm doing. So it's got a lot of space for you to design your own patterns, for you to just make notes on what you're working on with your circular knitting machine. And it's super helpful. It comes in different covers. The next thing I want to talk about is a loom pick, or Addi specifically has its own little pick right here. And what's nice about this pick is it's rather sharp, like a dental tool that, you know, the dentist would use in your mouth. But it has this pick, just like the loom pick, but it's skinnier and thinner so that you can grab the yarn with a little more accuracy. And it's got more of this hook side here, which helps you be able to grab the yarn when it splits onto the machine, and you can use this to really get it out. This really helps with fixing split yarn or a tucked or drop stitch as well. I definitely recommend you guys get these hooks and these looms and picks so you can help yourself when you're having to pick at your yarn as it's going through your circular knitting machine. The next item is specific to the Addi, but this is the tensioner that you can get off of Amazon. Again, I'm going to link all of these down below, but this tensioner helps you on the Addi machine put a little more tension onto your yarn so that you can have tighter stitches. Because right now, with the way the Addi is made, they don't have any extra tensioner like the Centro does with the 3 slots in the front here. This gives you 3 different ways to keep it a little tighter. Now you can notice here that the Addi machine only has the 1 yarn holder and 1 size tensioner. This tool right here is specific to fit right into the Addi's yarn holder. And what that does is it allows you to have 3 different tension settings when you put your yarn in here. Very much like the Centro already has it inside of attached to the machine. This one is an extra attachment you add to your Addi machine in order to have your different settings for tension. The next item I want to talk about is going to be a crochet hook that is long in the shaft and has aluminum or plastic with as few perforations as possible. The reason you don't want one of those like ergonomic hooks with the big handles on it is because you want to have this long, smooth front shaft surface, because when you fix a tucked or drop stitch, you're going to need this to be smooth so you can get under each of the stitches to be able to fix those tuck stitches. What I like to do is I use both my Addi picker and a crochet hook, and I will go in there, pick up the drop stitches, put it back over, and basically knit it with my crochet hook while it's still on the machine. I do have a video on how to do this if you need to know how to fix a tucked or a drop stitch, but these are the two tools you'll need, the Addi picker and a crochet hook. This particular one is a 4.25 aluminum hook. The next item is the Addi stopper, and this is so great for using it for when you use a flat panel setting on your machine. So the Addi stopper allows you to set the web width of your knitting completely individually. So you'll be able to go back and forth, and this helps remind you of when you need to stop for your panel to be as wide as you'd like it to be. Use this when I use this when I do flat panel knitting, and it's really great. I'll show you what the actual stopper looks like, and I do have a video on how to use it, but it's basically this little black item right here. And it's pretty simple. It just goes right over one of the knobs that are in between your pins on your circular knitting machine. It sits there, and that's where the Addi knows then you're going to stop, and then it goes to the other side and stops as well. So Addi comes with two. The first thing you want to do is make sure that you're on panel knitting. It actually tells you panel versus circular on your Addi. Grab your little Addi stopper. You see here where you have these knobs in between your pins, these red ones. The bottom is going to be the one where it's split. And so you place it on around the bottom and snap it into place just like so. I'll show you how I did that again. So the bottom is where it's got that slot. Place that bottom around the bottom of your knob over the top, and it snaps right into place. What that will now do is allow you to remember that you're stopping right there. It doesn't allow me to go any further, and that's going to stop automatically because that's the way it stops when it's on panel mode. And you can place that stopper on any needle that you'd like. So you can put it on this knob, for example. Now it's going to stop me right there. See, it stopped me right before the pin next to it. You go around this side, it's going to stop here automatically because when you're on panel setting, it always stops between the first and last pins. So if you want to make a panel that's that short, so it would only be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pins long. So don't forget to change it to circular versus plain knitting. That's how these pretty awesome steel adhesive wheel weights work. And ideally you're going to want at least 4 clips, one on each side here with weights on it to ensure you have that yarn down enough so that it can go over to these little teeth. See how these little two things, I call them teeth, between your pins. Been a help for me to be able to get any worsted weight yarn through the machines when normally they would not. I'm a big fan of this because it is lead free. It's adhesive, so it's very easy to attach. I'll show you how now. It comes in these strips because this is made for your tires, adding a little weight to your tires. Grab them and look at your clip and see how many you think can fit onto your clip. For me, it's about 2. So I'll cut 2 off. And then grab your clip, and you can see where it would fit right into the center there. Peel the adhesive off. Ensure that it's in the center. You don't want to touch that adhesive. It needs to be on a clean surface. And then you'll want to press down on it for a good minute to make sure that it really is taped onto that. And it says that it takes about 72 hours for it to be fully locked into the tire. But of course, we're not using these on our tires. That's just what the instructions say though. So the way these work is you just place it where you want it, peel the backing off, and put pressure down in the middle for at least 1 minute. The full adhesive force is achieved after 72 hours. Lead-free. Now you could use fishing weights, however, most fishing weights are not lead-free, which is why I did not go with the fishing weights. And I liked that these just tape right onto my clips, which I was going to use anyways. These clips actually came from when I bought the Knit Quick Michaels Loops and Threads knitting machine. These clips were included and they are awesome. They have these little tiny teeth that don't ever get caught with your yarn, but they keep it attached to here. Now you could just get like chip clips and then attach your weights, your steel adhesive wheel weights to them, and they'll work perfectly. So I'll just put that right here in the middle. Put that one here, and then you'll add your fourth one here. Now with that additional weight, if your yarn is getting finicky and not dropping down here where it should be right before it gets to the tensioner, see how it lifts it up naturally? In a lot of cases, that yarn, if you're having issues with it, what it's doing is not dropping down but over those two little teeth that the pin sits in between of. And then it's going to cause you issues with either a drop or a tuck stitch. Now let's see how these steel weights work in action. I have the two clips here where we've added the weights to it. All you do is put it evenly around your machine, and it's going to weigh down your project with these now non-lead weights that you have put onto your clips. When you go around, what that's going to do is provide enough tension and pressure that it ensures that your yarn is going down onto these pins. Because what the problem sometimes becomes is that when here you can see how it's getting lifted, and then it has to go back down here. And this part, sometimes the yarn is not, for some reason, going down like it should here and staying down around here. And what it does is it stays lifted and it doesn't have enough weight to keep it down. So these things help ensure that the yarn is staying down so it can stay around these two little pins right here. And as your project grows, all I do is I simply move up the weights on the clip higher up on the project, and it helps continuously provide enough tension and weight down. And final product I want to talk about that is the most efficient way that I think I have been able to use my circular knitting machine because of this product is twofold. It is the adapters that I will talk about specifically, but these are different power adapters for the different types of machines you have. The black one that I bought is for the Addi. These do come apart like this, and then it fits together like so. Same with the one for the Centro or the Knit Quicks Michaels Loops and Threads knitting machine. And this comes in different colors. I just like the green, so I got green. And then this guy is my Skill electric screwdriver. Now this guy is rechargeable with USB, and it has a long charge on it. I can get through 300 plus, probably about 600 rows before I need to start charging it. Maybe a little less than that, don't quote me on it. And it's really easy to use. I will show you how I use it here soon. This is just how small it is. And the other unique thing about this is it even twists so that if you just for some reason wanted to work this way or something like that on your machine, you could. My standard way of using it, however, is like this, like a trigger. And it makes it really fast and easy, and it your arm gets really sore when you're cranking it round and round and round for 300 rows when you're doing maybe a blanket, and this just makes it so much more efficient and faster. I'll show you how I use it. Now, again, for the last one, the Addi has its own special size adapter, whereas the Centro and the Knit Quicks knitting machine by Michaels Loops and Threads has the same size handle. What you do is attach the attachment over the top of the handle. See how it fits there perfectly? Well, this one would also fit perfectly over the Addi machines. Grab your Skills electric screwdriver and place it over the top there. Now you'll be able to drill much faster, but not too fast, where some of the drills will actually overheat your machine. Whereas this one will not overheat your machine since it's an electric screwdriver. It doesn't go any faster than you could knit by hand. Well, I really enjoyed sharing all of the different tools and tips and techniques that I use to make my circular knitting machine experience more efficient and more fun, where I can focus more on designing patterns and actually making the projects instead of focusing on tucked and dropped stitches and struggling with my yarn. Share with the group and share in the comment below, if you could, on what types of tools and techniques do you use that I didn't get to cover. And I would love to hear what they are, and so we can all learn a little more on how we can be more efficient and have more fun with our circular knitting machines. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the next video.